Hey friends, welcome back to more stories about entitled people, crazy people, and everything in between. And as usual, we got some more Reddit posts to check out today, so let's get into it, guys. Table of 3 walks out on their tab, but one forgets her purse. This was a wild one today, and I feel obligated to share. I work in a casual corporate Applebee's restaurant. There was a table of 3 young women today, mom and 2 daughters I believe, seated in the bar area for lunch. Immediately, our bartender waiting on them commented about their bad attitude, excess questions and requests, etc. You all know the kind of table I'm talking about. Fast forward 45 minutes or so and they have left without paying their $80 check. She's pissed, and it's just kind of a kick in the pants to all of us, because it happens far too often at our location. So 5 minutes later, as she is cleaning the table, retribution. She finds a small purse and returns it to the manager. Now this is where things get interesting. The bartender and manager immediately begin tearing into the purse, like wild dogs having found a fresh carcass. I suppose the justification is to look for some sort of ID, which is fair enough, but they didn't find that. There was a bank envelope of $120, of which they took the $80 to pay the check and return the rest, and then a bag of weed which the bartender took as her tip. This is where things get even more interesting. Of course, the young thieving dine and dasher needs to reclaim her purse, so she returns within the hour. Asks to speak to the manager, who returns her purse, minus the cash for their check and her precious drugs. He greets her by saying, "So you walked out on your check, right?" She proceeds to complain about service, etc. He informs her that we settled her check with the cash from her purse, and to her protest, he responds, "What did you think was going to happen?" She leaves. Here's where things become slightly more interesting. Within a couple of minutes, the time it took to go to the car and discover her drugs were gone, the 3 return in force and demand to speak to the manager again. They claim that something else was missing from her purse. He says, "I don't know what to tell you." They threaten to call the police. Yes, to report their missing illegal drugs, but soon thought better of it as the manager continued to stonewall them, and they left in a huff. Perhaps this was not the most ethical way of handling the situation, but boy was it satisfying. Almost made it all worth it to see some semblance at least of justice served, and it's nice to know they won't be returning anytime soon. Okay then, block my driveway. I live next to a school and I've had parents back up into my driveway to wait for their children. If I'm not going anywhere, I don't mind. No harm, no foul. One day I came home to find a woman in my driveway. I got out of my car and asked her to please pull out for a second, so I could pull in and then you can back up where you were. She said, "I will only be a few minutes." I said, "Ma'am, I live here, and I'd like to get into my garage." Because it's a narrow street and parents are now parked on both sides, the street access is now narrow and only one car can get by at a time. I told her that I cannot wait here a few minutes because I'm blocking traffic. "Well, I'll be moving in a bit." I said, "Okay, no, you won't be." I then parked perpendicular to her vehicle, blocking my own driveway and her vehicle. As I walked by, I told her I really have to use the bathroom and have stomach cramps. "You are welcome to call the police if you like. I'll be out in a bit." The look on her face after she realized what was happening was priceless. A few minutes later, I could hear her honking. A few more minutes later, I hear honking and my doorbell ringing. Only because I saw it was a child ringing on my Ring doorbell, I answered. "I'll be out in a minute, I'm washing my hands." I could hear the little boy screaming to his mother, I assume. He says he's washing his hands. By the time I came out a few more minutes later, all the vehicles and students were gone. I very slowly walked past her car, avoiding eye contact, and got into my car. I adjusted the mirror, moved the car seat forward then back, slowly. Started the car and moved my car forward slowly. All I heard was the tire screeching and the car horn honking as she left. Her windows were rolled up, so I can only assume the little boy got an earful of nice words as she was leaving. My neighbors were wondering what was going on with all the honking. When I explained, they said, "Oh, yeah, that's what we kind of figured." Don't tell you where you can't walk? Okay. Happened this morning when walking my dog at the municipal park. It has a skate park, playground, tennis club, softball fields, and to note, a disc golf course. With disc golf, some of the holes tee off and end near the footpaths that take you around the park. While there are signs in the general area that serve as a warning, people are usually aware of the disc golfers. Anyway, I'm walking my dog and I see a group of golfers playing through, and they're throwing at a hole, that cage thingy, that's about 20 feet from the path. I stop just in case anyone overthrows. Also, it's fun to watch. I'm standing there and some grumpy old man is walking from the pickleball courts at the tennis club to the parking lot. He has to walk up the path that I stopped at. I try to tell him, "Sir, you might want to hold on. There's a group of..." He immediately cuts me off with, "Out of my way, don't tell me where I can walk," and trudges through without looking at his surroundings. I just look at him as one of the discs sails long and connects with the side of his face and clocks him off his feet onto the wet grass. I see the coast is clear now and make my way to the parking lot. He's dazed and now angry and yells at me, "Why didn't you warn me?" I looked at him and replied, "You told me not to tell you where to walk." Then proceeded on my way as he tried to get up and get his bearings, while still cursing at me because all of that was my fault apparently. She wanted the wireless electricity to work. I work as a tech support guy in an elementary school. One day I was asked by an older female teacher, probably about 55 plus, why the projector wasn't working and if I can come take a look. When I arrived, I found that it wasn't even plugged in. When I asked where the plug was, she said she didn't have it. I said something like, "Oh, that's okay. I can probably get you a new plug, but I need to find it. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. But she wasn't having any of it. She insisted that I make the projector work wirelessly and wouldn't take no for an answer. I tried to explain to her that it simply wasn't possible because wireless electricity hasn't been invented yet, but she refused to listen. She then took out her phone and said, "If my phone can connect to the Wi-Fi wirelessly, why can't the projector?" I had to explain that Wi-Fi and electricity are different things, but she became angry and started threatening to report me to the principal. I tried to remain calm and explain the situation to her again, but she refused to listen and accused me of being incompetent. Eventually, I had to leave the classroom without solving her problem. It was a frustrating experience, but sometimes there's just no way to make things work the way people want them to. Later spoke to the principal and explained the situation to her, and luckily she understood that the teacher's request was unreasonable. Ex-mother-in-law thought my shellfish allergy was just me being picky. My ex-fiance's mother was an interesting woman. She took every single thing as a personal attack against herself and her family, including my shellfish allergy. They liked to make seafood dishes, mussels, shrimp, crab, etc. often, so I simply wouldn't come over for dinner on those occasions, which would always result in a phone call in which she would weep because I, quote, was just being picky and I could easily eat around the shrimp if I truly wanted to spend time with the family. After explaining how allergies work, she still wouldn't take it seriously. This progressed over the years and eventually came to a head at a wake for her father. She had made a dip as part of the after-funeral spread, and I asked her what was in it. "It's a surprise," she said. This should have been my first red flag, but I hadn't eaten all day and I was starving. "There is no shellfish of any sort in here?" I asked, and she responded, "No, of course not." So I ate a bite and asked my then fiance, "Does this taste fishy to you?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, it's a smoked mussel dip." I quietly exited with my fiance and went to the bathroom to throw up what I could, while he called 911. I waited as long as I could before taking my EpiPen, but eventually had to give in right before the ambulance arrived. I spent the evening in the ER, and my ever-fabulous mother-in-law had the gall to tell the family that I was being dramatic, and she knew it wasn't an allergy. I just didn't like her cooking because I was picky. I made her cover the cost of replacing my EpiPen. We're in Canada, so the ER visit didn't cost me anything. And I never ate her food again. I went so far as to bring my own food when they would invite me over, since I did want to spend time with the family, but I couldn't trust her cooking. The relationship ended shortly after when my fiancé informed me that he too thought I was lying about my allergy because I didn't like his mother's cooking, despite accompanying me to the ER with my throat swollen shut. Delete it? You sure? Okay. So I'm a fiend for Excel spreadsheets. Absolutely love them, and even bought an extra wide monitor for home so I can see them in all their glory. My boss keeps telling me that she's an advanced Excel user. She can run macros, she can do pivot tables, she knows formulas. Not once have I seen her create or manipulate a spreadsheet in the 6 months I've worked for her. So I had a template on our Teams chat that we used every week. It was automated to within an inch of its life to tell us about the company's health. We've been using it for the last 4 months after I was given approval by the boss to make it live. Gave her a tutorial and everything. This was for the admins to all see it, and I'd only need to update the raw data once a week, instead of send it manually to whoever wanted it on a given day, up to 4 times a day usually. Took out about 6 hours a week having it set up like that. Well, the boss told me to take it down because a different department who hadn't seen it was worried about personal data when one of the admins told them about it. There isn't anything like that in there, and anything that isn't open access is password hidden anyway. Our IT team has to be formally requested to add a new member to our Teams chat. The spreadsheet is password protected, the tabs are password protected, and the whole company is locked down hard anyway. So boss orders me to take it down and delete it. Run a fresh one for anyone who wants it. So I explained there wasn't anything in it that was personal or private data, but got told nope, delete it. Tried to explain we use it amongst the admins every day, and it has all these built-in features and tables, etc. Nope, delete it. So I did. Cue today, boss says to me her big boss meeting is presenting figures to the executives tomorrow. She starts quoting figures that are wildly out from the true numbers. I questioned where they came from, and she shows me a Frankenstein report that is saying the exact opposite of what she thought, run by someone not even in our department. I tell her the exact grand total and show her how I got there, with a simple table and some screenshots I had of the original shared spreadsheet. She asks for access and I tell her it's been deleted. I explain why and even showed the meeting notes where she had approved its use after viewing it. She denies any knowledge of it but wants it back. I said it would take me 2 to 3 days to make it again due to my workload increases. I saved a copy of the template, but no way am I telling her that. This will give me breathing room to get the backlog out of my queue while she thinks I am working on it. Let her sweat through that executive meeting knowing every figure is wrong. No one's saving her ass in this team anymore. Alright guys, that's going to be all for today. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. If you enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Reddit stories. So take care friends, have an awesome day, and I'll see you next time.